Hi friends, and welcome back to Reading with Isa. Today we'll be reading about Sleeping Beauty. Long ago, a beautiful girl was born to a king and queen. They named her Aurora. To celebrate his daughter's long-awaited birth, King Stefan declared a holiday for the entire kingdom. People came from near and far to bring gifts to the child. The neighboring King Hubert and his young son Philip came to see the princess. The two kings were great friends and wished to join their kingdoms in peace and prosperity. They decided that Princess Aurora and Prince Philip would marry when they grew up. At the king's invitation, 3 good fairies named Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather came to the celebration. Each had a magical gift for the princess. Flora, the fairy dressed in red, waved her wand over the baby's cradle. "My gift shall be the gift of beauty," she said. "My gift shall be the gift of song," said Fauna, the fairy in green. But before Merryweather could speak, an evil fairy named Maleficent appeared. She was angry because the king had not invited her to the celebration. So instead of a gift, Maleficent brought a curse. She announced that on Aurora's 16th birthday, the girl would prick her finger on a spinning wheel and die. The king's guards tried to capture Maleficent, but she vanished in a cloud of smoke and fire. Fortunately, Merryweather, the fairy in blue, had not yet offered her gift. She could not reverse the evil curse, but she cast a spell that would make Aurora fall asleep when she pricked her finger. That way, the princess wouldn't die. "And from the slumber you shall wake, when true love's kiss the spell shall break," Merryweather announced. To keep Aurora safe, the 3 good fairies said they would disguise themselves as peasants, raise the princess in a cottage, and rename her Briar Rose. The fairies told her parents they'd bring Aurora home on her 16th birthday. King Stefan and the queen sadly agreed. When Maleficent discovered Aurora was missing, she ordered her evil soldiers to search the entire kingdom. As the years passed, Briar Rose never once suspected she was a princess. She thought the fairies were her aunts, and they all lived happily in their cottage. On the morning of Briar Rose's 16th birthday, the fairies decided to throw her a surprise party. They were discussing the cake and gift when Briar Rose walked in. "What are you 3 dears up to?" the girl teased. We want you to go pick some berries," Merryweather blurted out. "Lots of berries," Fauna added. "But I picked berries yesterday," Briar Rose said sweetly. The fairies smiled and sent the girl on her way so they could start to get everything ready. The fairies had stopped using magic long ago, for fear that Maleficent might discover Aurora's hiding place. But because the curse was about to end, and they weren't very good at baking and sewing, Merryweather suggested they use their magic wands. But Flora and Fauna refused. "I'm going to bake the cake," Fauna said. "I'm going to make it 15 layers, with pink and blue forget-me-nots." "And I'm making the dress," Flora declared. Fauna's cake turned out so lopsided that she had to prop it up with a broom. But then the icing and candles ran down the broom handle. And when Merryweather tried on the dress that Flora had sewn, it practically fell apart. "Perhaps if I added a few more ruffles?" Flora asked. Finally, the fairies pulled out their magic wands and made everything perfect. The dress and cake were fit for a princess, but sparks from the fairies' wands had come out of the chimney just as Maleficent's pet raven was flying by. The bird saw the flashes of magic and realized that the princess had been hiding it at the cottage. Meanwhile, Briar Rose wandered through the woods and began to sing. A handsome young man who had been riding through the woods heard her lovely voice and joined her. Briar Rose did not realize that he was Prince Philip. But as they walked and sang together, she knew she loved him with all her heart. Hours later, Briar Rose returned to the cottage. She was delighted by her birthday presents, but even more excited about the handsome man she'd just met that day. "Just wait till you meet him," she told the fairies. Sadly, the fairies told her who she really was and that she was already betrothed to Prince Philip. Because of that, she could never see her handsome stranger again. "Tonight, we're taking you back to your father, King Stefan," Flora told the stunned princess. Once the fairies thought it was safe, they returned Aurora to the castle. Left alone to prepare to see her parents, the princess wept. But Maleficent was waiting for her. Immediately, she placed Aurora in a trance and lured her to a lonely tower. The princess pricked her finger on a spinning wheel and fell into a deep sleep. To save Aurora's parents from the terrible heartache, the good fairies put everyone in the castle to sleep. Meanwhile, Maleficent had figured out Prince Philip was the only one who could break the spell and wake the princess with true love's kiss. So she found him and locked him in her dungeon. The three fairies soon realized that Maleficent had trapped the prince. They flew to the evil fairy's dungeon and helped Prince Philip escape. "Arm thyself with the enchanted shield of virtue and this mighty sword of truth," Flora told him. When Prince Philip approached Aurora's castle, he saw that Maleficent had covered the walls with thick, thorny branches. He used the magical sword to cut through them. Maleficent realized that the prince might defeat her and turned herself into a fire-breathing dragon. "Now you shall deal with me, O prince," she screeched. The prince charged towards the large dragon, his sword raised. Maleficent breathed a huge blast of flame toward him. Philip blocked it with his magical shield, but the branches around him caught fire. Then the dragon chased him to the edge of a cliff. He was trapped. The dragon was about to breathe more fire when all of a sudden the three fairies came to Philip's rescue. "Now, sword of truth, fly swift and sure," the fairies said, as they sprinkled fairy dust onto the sword. Philip threw the sword at the dragon, and the beast plunged over the cliff. The prince had defeated the dragon, and Maleficent was no more. Prince Philip raced to the tower and found Aurora sleeping peacefully. He kissed her tenderly. The princess opened her eyes and smiled at her true love. Everyone in the castle woke up too. The king and queen were overjoyed to see their daughter again. Aurora was happier than she'd ever been. She had reunited with her family, and she and her true love would be together forever. The end. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time on Reading with Isa.